Hello friends, and welcome to Ariel's Twilight Years, how to be a really old model. I'm at home this month, which is a miracle, and I'm just about to go off on tour again to the southeast of England. But while I do that, my memoir, Playing to Lose, is still on sale everywhere, and my audio version has just come out and is also available on Audible, Apple Music, wherever you get your audiobooks from. And it's being met with a really warm reception, which I appreciate massively, to everyone who's left a review. If you haven't left a review, either for the audiobook or for the normal hard copy book, please do. I love them and I will read them out loud in video format on Twitter/X. Today I want to talk about a subject which is beginning to trouble me. So many years ago, before I worked in BDSM or porn of any description, I remember watching a documentary about hardcore porn, and I remember being really shocked because some of the people interviewed were talking about the inflation that was taking place in the industry in terms of what specifically female porn stars were expected to be able to do. Specifically, this was relevant to what they were being asked to insert. So the size of dildos/toys/cocks that they were being expected to interact with was increasing. I was really horrified to hear about it. I didn't know much about hardcore porn at all. I didn't know there was such a thing as double penetration or double anal or triple anal. And hearing about porn models who had suffered tears, ruptures, permanent damage from doing hardcore porn really upset me, because I'm aware that having regular sex doesn't tend to do that. So the idea that sex in porn was damaging women's bodies in a way that sex outside porn really wasn't made me very sad for those performers. Having had much more contact with the porn world, even with hardcore porn, even though I don't shoot it, I know plenty of people who do, I now wonder whether that's really a trend where the acts that are being expected of performers are just getting more and more extreme, because it feels to me from the outside as though that's kind of levelled off. So there are producers who are very reliant on doing these kind of extreme acts, and then there do seem to be a whole load of hardcore producers who don't go anywhere near that kind of stuff and just shoot sex that bears a little more relation to the sort of sex we might have in our personal lives. So what's all this got to do with BDSM? I will tell you, because although I don't think necessarily there is a trend towards ever more extreme acts in hardcore porn, I do think it's something we should be aware of. And what made me aware of this potentially being a problem in my side of the industry, in BDSM, is just in the size of ball gags I have been being sent in more recent years by customers and potential customers and fans. I'm not making this video in order to shame any individual person. This is something that I wouldn't be talking about if it was one person who'd sent me all of these. But because this has become something that I am experiencing so often, I do think it's time to talk about this. Okay, so this is my largest ball gag that I would consider wearing for an entire bondage scene. I think it's 1 3/4 inches, and it's big. It's bigger than the average gag I would wear. It is challenging, and it gives me some jaw pain sometimes the day after wearing it. So it's not something I would be wanting to wear on a daily basis 5 days a week at work. But you can see if I put it in, there's some resistance, and when I try to take it out, there is some challenge to getting it out of my mouth. Whereas with this one, which is, I guess this is probably like 1.5 inches, maybe 1 1/4 inches, you can see there's no resistance. It's really easy to get past my teeth, and it's really easy to come out again. So I would say, while that's a nice comfortable size, I can see why people would want to see the gag that really does fill my mouth. That seems perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable. And while I can't be wearing it for hours on end or on a daily basis, I don't think there's anything unreasonable about this size of gag on this size mouth. However, in more recent times, I've been sent this gag, for example, also a ball gag without the strap. And when it came, and when I felt it in my hand, I realised there's just absolutely no way I can get this in my mouth. Firstly, because it's too big, so comparing it with the one that I can wear, that is a little challenging but possible, and this, it's not that much bigger, but it's the difference between wearable and not wearable. And its rigidity means that there's no flexibility in getting it past my teeth. So if I try to get this in my mouth, I can't do it. Now, probably if someone was to be really brutal with it, they could get it past my teeth, then it would be stuck and it would be a huge effort to get back out again. And I would worry about what it was going to do to my teeth. So this size is just too big for me and too big for probably the majority of female models. But this is not the largest gag I've been sent by any means. So I've been sent this one, same size, slightly softer, but still nowhere near soft enough to actually get in my mouth. And if I could get it into my mouth, I'm guessing because of the pain it's giving me in my jaw, even if I could get it into my mouth, I'm assuming that wearing it for any period of time is just going to put more and more strain on my jaw. So this seems like a dangerously oversized piece of kit. But this is not the largest gag I've been sent. I've got this one. And like, this is as hard as, it's almost as hard as a cricket ball. It's not even as soft as a tennis ball. There is almost no give in this item. And if you see me trying to get it into my mouth, there's just no way. It's not even almost getting in, it's kind of getting halfway in. And this isn't even the biggest gag I've been sent. I've got this one too, even larger. I mean, this is approaching the size of an actual tennis ball at this point. There will always be the occasional person, even the occasional woman, who can wear gags of this size. But I am beginning to be concerned by the normalisation of absolutely huge gags. Because through my career, which is now over 20 years, I have met an awful lot of models who have got jaw injuries, permanent jaw injuries. And they can either no longer wear ball gags at all, or they can only wear really small ball gags. And I can't help but think that because it's so many of us, feels like an industrial injury. I don't think this is chance. I think this is because of the gags we're being asked to wear. So the reason I'm making this video is really for two reasons. One, if you're a model and you are feeling pressurised to use any kind of toy or equipment which is too big for your body to comfortably accommodate, whether that's a butt plug or a ball gag or a dildo or a cock, I think perhaps we should normalise saying, no, that's too big. That's causing me pain and I don't think it's going to be good for me in the long run. So that's one reason I wanted to make this video. But the other reason is that if you are a producer or a fan, I would just ask you to try to moderate your desires to see some of these biggest ever toys, equipment, cocks. Because porn, or at least the sort of porn that I work in, and probably if you're watching this, the sort of porn that you watch, so heterosexual BDSM porn with female submissives, that porn that we're enjoying watching is being made on the canvases of primarily women's bodies, and sometimes those women's bodies are being damaged, injured by the things that we're watching. And I do think we probably, whether we are models, producers or fans, we have to take some responsibility for that and just make sure that we're not taking part in some race to the bottom of ever more extreme acts, ever larger toys, because it's not like our bodies are becoming magically more accommodating of giant things being stuffed into our orifices. And I really think that as a fan, if you can just remember that the people in your porn are actual real people who need their bodies to work okay the next day, then perhaps we can move away from this thinking that if it's exciting to see someone wearing a ball gag, it's even more exciting to see someone wearing a giant ball gag. And if it's exciting to see someone penetrated, it's even more exciting to see them penetrated by a dildo that is unreasonably large. Because I don't like to think of participating in an art form that routinely damages women's bodies. And if we don't curtail this desire within ourselves to see ever bigger things going into women's bodies, what we will end up with is more and more women in this field being injured. And I don't think that would be a positive thing for anybody, least of all those women, because this is a lovely job. I absolutely love it, and I have been lucky that so far the injuries that I have sustained as a result of doing this job have all been temporary. That's not the case for all of my peers, and some of the time those injuries have probably just been unavoidable, but sometimes they've been overuse injuries from people pushing us too far too often and being too greedy with what they ask our bodies to do. So I think it's something we can probably all work on together. I'm glad that there's no Guinness World Record for wearing the biggest ball gag, but God, sometimes when I get sent this stuff it feels a bit like it. I don't want to participate in anything that feels like some sort of competition between me and any other models. But I also don't want to participate in anything that feels like a competition between me and my past self. My past self can wear this size gag, my current self can wear this size gag, and I don't see any reason why my future self should be able to suddenly accommodate something larger. I also very much do not like this convention of very hard ball gags. I think the softer ones are much safer, much more wearable, and I don't really understand why we're still making gags that are this hard. It just seems like a really foolish idea to me. So, that was probably controversial. I would probably have made some enemies, but I do think that because there is such a quick throughput of models in our industry, I worked out a few years ago the average length of time a model in our industry stays in it, and this was based on the models I knew at the time, so take it with a pinch of salt, but it's only about 2 years. And the idea of anyone coming into this business only spending 2 years in it and then leaving permanently injured is a horrific idea. And honestly, working in this industry for 20 years and leaving it with a serious injury, it's not like that feels okay either. So I just think we should make practical, sustainable, safe choices and enjoy our kink without dislocating anyone's jaw. Thanks for listening. Join me next month when I'll try to talk about something a little bit less niche than this, but it has been on my mind for a while. Thanks for listening. As always, I'm Ariel Anderson, and this is Ariel's Twilight Years. Goodbye! Goodbye now! Bye-bye! Bye-bye!